Basically, this is part two of my college experience. As far as I left off, I was going to school at Parkland. I was about 18, 18 and 19 when I left Parkland. About summer of 2000, and basically came back home to live with my mother, my grandparents. It was like just basically one of the biggest mistakes I made in my life. Really, pretty much, the reason why wanted to go to college was I wanted to get away from a lot of the, um, let's just say, just issues that I had to deal with like my parents and stuff like that. And coming back was like a big mistake. I think that one of the biggest mistakes I made was actually not just trying to make a way for myself and just stay away, and really kind of diminishing the fact that, thinking to myself, being my own advisor, to be like, okay, you know, why did you actually go away in the first place? And what are you actually going back to? And why are you going back to it? And also, even worse, what are you actually going back to? So, anyway, that became a total quagmire, let's just say, and ended up going, joining the military, joining the Navy, uh, basically, ended up in the middle of a war, and, all of that goes with that was, finally getting out, and then basically going kind of really, to be honest, going back to the same place. This is why, I have to go back to the whole idea of what my channel was called and the premise of what everything that I talk about, which is pretty much money, but not just money, but the fact that you need the value of money, basically. Okay. A lot of decisions are based off of your financial well-being. Okay, I'm gonna just keep it real with you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna lie to you, or I don't have to lie. The thing is that a lot of decisions are based off of your financial well-being, and my stories, these broke stories, okay, they are no exception. Okay, obviously. So when I basically, came home from the military, I basically went back to the same situation that I left, and I had to deal with things. I mean, I had more insight, I had more knowledge, I had more discipline. I was definitely able to handle a lot more pressure than than I was before I went, and most people, as well. Um, but I still had to come back to the same type of dysfunction that I left in the first place. So anyway, I did. I eventually got myself together. Let's just say I give you the rough story, and I was able to kind of get some type of assistance with me actually being out of the military, not being able to find a job, was able to get unemployment. Then I went back to college. By this time, I wasn't just the high school guy with 1.9 GPA and no messed up ACT scores. I'm now a college, seasoned veteran as well as a veteran. I, pretty much at that time accumulated over 30 hours of college credit. Uh, my GPA was at least 2.5 or higher. I'm not 100% sure as far as the exact amount, but I know it was well above 2.0 average. One thing about college, and I'll just say this, and just whole adulting or adult life in general, you're going to, if you're going to stay in college, you have to make the grade. So, you're most people, I'll just speak for myself. I definitely paid more attention to my grades and took things a lot more serious. I looked at school as being more professional, and it was something that it was very easy for me. High school was kind of like you're forced into the 9 to 5. High school is actually preparing you, I believe, to be into the workforce, actual working a 9 to 5. Now, most people that go to college also they have the same schedule where they go in the morning and they go all the way till whatever the time is that they get done with their classes for the day. But basically, I took night classes. I took quite a bit of night classes because I'm more of a night owl. I'm more of a, I would say, after a post noon or before noon type of individual. I'm not a 9 to 5 guy. At the very core of what I just how I am, really ain't really. I don't really like 9 to 5. But going to high school, everybody's forced into the whole, wake up in the morning and then you go till about 2 o'clock and then you get off of school, right? But college, you can set your own schedule. You can set the times that you want to take classes. As long as you get dibs, you can set your schedule. So I did pretty well in college compared to high school. So I transferred into Chicago State, got my redemption finally. Did not have no issues transferring to Chicago State. Had the GPA, had the college credits. Got in, and basically got a work study working in a printing department at the Chicago State campus. And just in case you didn't know, Chicago State is actually, it's a HBCU, but it's not a historical black college. It's basically, it was Chicago State was actually primarily all white university that was started, I believe, in the 1930s, and it was basically primarily a teaching college. Because just in case you didn't know, so like during the Woodrow Wilson years, Woodrow Wilson's motto was, "We need a whole bunch of like educated people to teach the herd." Basically, that I'm not gonna go into further into it. If you want more research into it, like you could do it. But basically, that was his whole thing, was you need a whole bunch of teachers and whatnot, and to push, to educate the masses into a groupthink model of, whatever, controlling the herd, basically. But anyway, when it comes down to Chicago State, that is what it was. It was primarily a teacher's college. But, over the course of history, Chicago and the South Side, demographics wise, changed. Basically, a lot of black people came from various parts of the country, primarily the South. The white residents moved out and they left everything just about that was there. What I don't didn't matter if it was a church, a college, a freaking mansion, whatever. It was left. They moved, and basically black people took advantage of that. So there you have it. There's Chicago State University right there in 2 minutes. But nonetheless, when I enrolled there, like I said, I had previous problems when I was a freshman. I mean, well, when I was a sophomore, actually a senior in high school, graduating, I had a problem getting into Chicago State, getting, um, you know, accepted or whatever. I did not have an issue after I actually enrolled in 2003, 2004, um, because I had the college credits. College credits actually does, like, if you have to go to a junior college, it's no big deal. Go to a JUCO for a year, do your college credits. You could transfer right into most universities, and pretty much it's something that I had to do. So I had to prove myself, okay, and I did. So I enrolled with the basically understanding that I was going to be a social worker. One of my cousins was a social worker. That was like a good idea for me at the time. So Chicago State at that time did not have a social work program. They only had a sociology program where you can transition into being a social worker. So that's pretty much the story of how I pretty much got into the world of sociology. So um, you know, pretty much mostly humanities. So had a lot of philosophy classes, psychology classes, and sociology classes. A lot of essays, a lot of papers, a lot of you know in class discussions as well as in class speeches she had to do. So yeah, I mean, went there for a couple years. Uh, the college life was a little bit different than when going down to school in Champaign because I mean Chicago is pretty much it's a commuter school. A lot of people, including myself, call it Baby Mama University because it was pretty much like you go in there, and it's just people that just pretty much they live with their parents or they have a job and they live off campus. They did have an on-campus life. It was very small. They, had people that actually lived in a dorm, of like one dorm, but most people, like including myself, was just commuting. Um, you know, yeah. I mean, I actually had a couple, encounters with the women's, but I'm a gentleman. I definitely ain't gonna, pretty much tell this ain't necessarily what this about, but I mean, yeah, I had a little, you know, work study sessions with, the ladies. I'll just keep it at that. But, after about a couple years, I was, kind of in a point where I was like, you know what? If I'm actually gonna do this, I'm gonna do this the way I really want to do it. I don't really want to be a social worker. I actually, was into building computers and fixing up computers. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna switch gears and I'm gonna work and trying to change my major and going to in computer science and IT. And basically, that's what I did. I just by the time my junior year came, I just switched my major and went to a different college or actually university, which was American Intercontinental University, which was an online school, and this was around 2006. And this was, I would say, more of a bigger mistake than actually coming back home from Champaign, because basically I went to a situation where I was kind of like going to school at Chicago State. I was kind of like stagnant. My grades kind of dropped, and I was like on academic probation. And I was like, you know, trying to finish college because my aunt was like, you know what, just keep going to college till you just can't go anymore. That's what her advice was. And it's pretty good advice, but I just pretty much decided I was going to try to go to this online school to finish up college. It pretty much almost worked out other than a couple classes that I took that they gave me like F's, and then also I couldn't get the transcripts from Chicago State because I owed money. Thus, yes, I was broke as hell. Very, very broke. Um, so I didn't have the money to actually get the transcripts. I'll be honest, if I had the money to get the transcripts, or if I was able to get the transcripts, I would have a degree pretty much because I literally went to American Intercontinental University, and only thing I needed was one class, Well, that one class would have been sufficient if I had the transcripts. The transcripts would have transferred over, and I wouldn't have to took the classes that I did have to take, and also I would have graduated. I wouldn't have got my degree in person as far as just getting the actual degree because it would have been on hold because I owed American Intercontinental University money, but I would have actually just actual paper. I would have been basically a bachelor. I would have a bachelor's degree, pretty much. So that was literally, in a nutshell, my college career. I did go back in I think 2009 because I got a post 9/11 GI Bill because I was in the military. I served during 9/11, and I just went just to take some classes, and it was pretty fun. I took religious classes. I took a music class on like music history from like classical music on to current times, and um, just took a couple computer classes and whatnot. I actually went to school for programming too, um, again, because that's what I went to school for at American Intercontinental University. So, yeah, I mean, I was just basically utilizing my benefits. It wasn't necessarily I was going to school for actually trying to really do nothing major. I mean, don't fault me. I was just trying to get my money. I mean, I mean, shit. I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying, say that you should just, if you got benefits, you should definitely use them. But yeah, that's my this will be the wrap up to this. I mean, I have pretty much nothing more further to say, other than I did exhaust all of my financial aid. I literally used every, like you only get so many years to use financial aid, and you get like a cap amount that you get, and I utilize all of it. So I'm no longer as an undergrad able to use any more financial aid, unless they like make the cap higher or something like that. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Part two. This will definitely be most likely either volume 7 or volume 6. So yeah, definitely. I definitely think that college is important to a certain extent if you're, trying to, be something like a doctor or a lawyer. If you actually get into something where you need a degree like social work or nurse or anywhere where you definitely need it. But if you are into something where it's not necessarily mandatory, I mean, you might want to look into other options. That's the best thing I could say. I mean, like for example, if you're an architect or you're trying to go to school to be an architect, you definitely have to go to college to be an architect. There's no way around it. So it's just it's just a no brainer. And then also, a warning on the student loans. You definitely want to try to be conscious and aware that you you are gonna have to pay these student loans back, and it's gonna be the equivalent of a house, of a small house. If it gets to be where it gets out of hand, I want to say anywhere over $25,000 in student loans is going to be a situation where you're going to have a stagnation, if you don't have that that job that you get where you make certain amount of money. I would say anything over $50,000, you're gonna have some issues, with the cost of living and paying your student loans back. And it's also going to be a hurdle if you're trying to finance a house because they look at your overall cumulative debt, which would include your student loans. So it's a warning. If you can kind of somewhat avoid student loans, you definitely want to, try to look for other options. So that's all I have. Thank you for watching this video.